Good day, guys. I'm Most Civilized Savage, and we're on N again. Well, not that. Well, no. We're on nationalization. Right. There's a reason why I'm doing these N words. No, not the N word. Right? Doing some fancy dancy words. Nationalization. In political science, in its broadest sense, the act or policy of government of appropriate ownership of property, thereby transferring it from the domain of private property. More specifically, the term is employed to designate the assumption by a nation of the ownership of privately owned industry distributive enterprises or land when used in connection with socialist or communist programs. Well, for the abolition, abolition, abolition of private property. Who would have guessed that those guys did that? The nationalization of industry and land is frequently also called socialization. Yeah, sure is. Social monkeys. Nationalization may be may be affected by expropriation without compensation to the owners of the property. Yeah. As in Soviet Russia, 1917 and 18. Oh. Or by appropriation with some form of identification. Indemnification? Ooh, that's a different word. To the owners. As in England, after the installation of the Labour Party government in 1945. Okay, see Russian Revolution, Unions of Soviet Socialist Republic, United Kingdom. We'll get there. Although some degree of government ownership of national resources, industry, transportation, communication, or services essentially to socialist existence have been a feature of every form of organized society. The subject of nationalization prior to the latter part of the 19th century was a theme confined for the most part to form social reforms. The 17th century English reformer Peter Chamberlain, for example, held that poverty could be limited by the nationalization of the royal and the church estates. The common forest, mines, and all the other treasures of the land and sea. He advocated the confiscation of what he characterized as unearned increments in manufacturing, trade, and agriculture. He sounds like an asshole. During the French Revolution, fucking French, the communist leader Frank Bourbois, fucking whatever, advocated, he doesn't even have a QB, so that guy is fucking done for. Advocated the immediate nationalization of all corporations and of the property of individual following their deaths. Awesome. I really like this guy a whole lot, right? Oh well. With the rise of capitalism, capitalism tastes like cigarettes, which involved an enormous expansion and development of the means of production, distribution, and exchange, great emphasis was placed by society on private ownership of economic instruments and advocates of nationalism. Nationalization. Cool. Met with little encouragement. Oh. Little encouragement. Okay. However, the increasing complexity of social existence and the glaring evils attendant to the development of capitalism led, in the latter part of the 19th century, to increasing recognition of the desirability and, in some cases, the necessity of the public good of the government ownership, yeah, of enterprises and services of various types. The founders of scientific socialism, Karl Marx and Frederick Engels, yeah, QQB will get there, held that at the end result of modern history would be a complete socialization of all means of production, producing and exchanging wealth. Thereafter, nationalization became an essential element of all socialist and communist programs. Yeah, I sure did that, motherfuckers. Right, the first government to initiate a complete nationalization of industry was the Soviet regime under the Bolshevik leader Nikolai Lenin. Who would have guessed? On the part of other governments, nationalization was used in colonial and semi colonial countries as a means of securing national resources against exploitation by foreign capitalist interests. A typical example was the nationalization by the Mexican government in the 1920s and 30s of a country's mine and to safeguard Mexico's vast oil deposits of the subsoil. Following World War II, the satellite states of the Soviet Union instituted nationalization programs modeled upon the institutions and policies of the Soviet Union. The Labour Party program of nationalization in post-war England was intended by its authors to constitute a step in the gradual socialization of the economy of the country. It was applied in stages and was restricted to sick industries, i.e., industries which had been unable to operate at a profit. From time to time, reform movements in the United States have advocated the nationalization of various economic instruments. I've seen a couple of these in my times. Right? A notable instance was the proposal made in the latter part of the 19th century by the People's or Populist Party, QB, we'll get there, to break the monopolistic control of freight rates by the railroads through national ownership of all means of public communication and transportation. They got rid of monopoly. Okay? Right. After World War I, the Railroad Brotherhoods of Railway Workers projected a plum plan calling for public ownership of national railroads during the presidential election campaign in 1948. The Progressive Party, led by Henry Wallace, Vice President of the United States in 1937 to 1941, declared that in order to achieve an economic of abundance, it was necessary to nationalize the largest banks, the railroads, the merchant marine, public utilities, and industries dependent primarily on government expenditures, e.g., the aircraft and synthetic rubber and oil industries. Well, that's a whole lot on nationalization. I hope you learned something. Right. Still old news to me, but people need to learn so that I can talk to someone. People are fucking idiots. Alright. Nationalization. Nationalism. Alright. Make sure there's probably nationalism later. We'll get there. Alright, this was fun. Y'all have a good one, guys. Alright, we went over the fancy dancy nationalization. Wow.